World leaders are calling for restraint in the wake of the assassination of senior Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh and the killing of a top Hezbollah commander. There is fear that these latest events may tip the Middle East into a wider regional war that could drag in the United States as well. Meanwhile, Iran Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei will lead funeral prayers for Haniyeh on Thursday in Tehran. We will, in a short while from now, get more on this from our correspondent Sarah Coates from Tel Aviv. But before that, just a quick recap of this. Ismail Haniyeh was killed yesterday in Tehran, in Iran. He had gone there to attend the inauguration ceremony of the Iranian president. And Iran has, in fact, blamed Israel for carrying out the strike which killed Ismail Haniyeh. And he was, in fact, the Hamas chief who resided in Qatar. And he was in Iran to attend the inauguration ceremony of the Iranian president. This incident is expected to bring in more reactions, as we saw world leaders put forth their reactions, and also this could have spillover effects in the Middle East, and the situation in the Middle East could further escalate. The crisis in the Middle East could further escalate. And now we will get this detailed report on this by our correspondent Sarah Coates from Tel Aviv. Let's watch this.
A very dangerous time in the Middle East amid fear that these two assassinations of Ismail Haniyeh, the head of Hamas's Politburo, and also of the second in charge of Hezbollah, could potentially tip the region into a wider war. Now, we've heard from the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the back of a very long security cabinet meeting right here in Tel Aviv, where he's come out to address the Israeli public. He said that Israel will exert a cost from anybody who attacks it from any arena, saying that Israel is ready for every scenario, warning that there are challenging days ahead.
Citizens of Israel, challenging days lie ahead. Since this strike in Beirut, there are threats sounding from all directions. We are prepared for any scenario, and we will stand united and determined against any threat. Israel will exact a very heavy price for any aggression against us from any area.
Now, we do need to remember as well what we've been hearing from the Iranians. The representative to the United Nations, he came out saying the response will in fact be a tougher special operation aimed at instilling deep regret in the perpetrator. While Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, he said that Israel has brought the severest punishment on itself. Now, really, diplomatic efforts right across the region are intensifying. The UN chief, Antonio Guterres, he says that this is a dangerous escalation, while the United Nations is calling for maximum restraint.
The Secretary General believes that the attacks we have seen in South Beirut and in Tehran represent a dangerous escalation at a moment in which all efforts should instead be leading to a ceasefire in Gaza, the release of all Israeli hostages, a massive increase in humanitarian aid for Palestinians in Gaza, and a return to calm and across the blue line. Rather than that, what we are seeing are efforts to undermine these goals. The Secretary General has consistently called for maximum restraint by all.
And there is, of course, a lot of fear that these two assassinations could really derail these ceasefire negotiations, hostage negotiations that have been ongoing now for months, really yielding no fruit, with a lot of fear that potentially, if indeed these negotiations are derailed, that the war in Gaza could go on for a very long time. But there is a lot of fear, of course, here on the ground in Israel among the family members of these 111 Israeli captives, that if there isn't a deal soon, that they may never see their loved ones. So it really is a region on edge this evening. And what we've been hearing from the IDF, the Israeli military's home front command, is that right now there is no change in directive to the Israeli public, but it says it will update people if this does indeed change. Sarah Coates reporting from Tel Aviv for DD India.